Hey there, my name's David. On this episode, I'm going to teach you how to lose weight on a low budget. So there's multiple ways to do this. We'll go off point by point. So first off, this is a plant-based weight loss channel, so that's going to be my first suggestion. Not because it's a plant-based weight loss channel, but because it's true. It's a lot cheaper to eat a plant-based diet than it is our omnivorous diet. And so you can stick to make it even cheaper, you can stick to the cheaper ingredients like cabbage, beans, rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes. It's best to focus on the plants that are highest in full spectrum nutrients, like purple cabbage is the highest. It's best pound for pound, cheapest, most nutrient dense food you can eat. The sweet potato is another one way up there. You can get even cheaper though if you go with green cabbage. It's typically cheaper, like 20-30% cheaper than purple cabbage. And then for beans, you stick to garbanzo, chickpeas, black beans, azuki beans, whatever, black-eyed peas, anything you like, whatever's the cheapest in general. And then if you mix them up too based on color, they'll have different nutrients in them. So for the next tip, we want to stay away from processed foods. Processed foods are the most expensive foods, whether they're plant-based or not. If you're getting like a day pizza, you're going to pay, like, at least in Canadian dollars, it'd be $10. Get on sale, maybe $8. If you make it yourself, you can make that for like $2. So it's a no-brainer. If you want to save money, you really got to start making your own food and get rid of all the processed foods. This goes for peanut butter as well. Peanut butter, whatever, $5, $6, $8 for a jar. You can get a bag of peanuts for $1 and blend them up, and you have homemade peanut butter without all the refined oil. So it's just a no-brainer to get rid of processed foods. The problem with that is they are more convenient to eat. So you just got to do a little bit more meal prep and plan for it and just stick to whole plant foods. Get rid of the processed stuff and you'll definitely save a lot of money. So the next tip I have is, aside from before saving on the cheap foods, you want to get rid of the expensive foods. So even if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, the expensive foods like pineapples, persimmons, depending where you live, if you live somewhere tropical, then those maybe would be cheap, but peaches and nectarines and plums and pears, all that stuff, or maybe not pears, but all that stuff's going to be more expensive. So get rid of the expensive fruits and vegetables. You don't need to be eating like okra every night or whatever's expensive in your area. Get rid of those. If you're on a budget, definitely save a lot of money. So the next tip is to stop eating out. Eating out is so expensive, even more than the processed foods. You'll easily spend $20 at a restaurant, another $8 for a drink, and you're at, $28 or whatever for a meal that you could easily make that drink for like 20 cents, and then the meal itself could cost you a couple bucks. So you could easily make 8 meals for the cost of one. So you're gonna have to stop eating out. I know a lot of people say like, well, it's my social time, I need to go out with my friends. I have another solution for you there too. So why not make a big pizza at home and have your friends come over, and then that pizza only costs you a few bucks. Your friends save money, they like that, and you can have a social gathering that way. You play some board games or whatever, just chat with your friends. You can easily kind of shift your surroundings, your situation to make it work for you. So the next tip I have for you here to lose weight on a low budget is to grow your own food. So if you have land, then you can easily grow your own food. Some stuff, like last year I had the world's most diverse urban edible garden, and I've learned many things are a lot of work and not worth the effort to grow, and some things are super easy. So the perfect example of this is snap peas. Snap peas take like no work to grow whatsoever. You just have a little trellis or something they can climb on. You put the seeds in the ground, or the peas in the ground, and then they'll just climb up and produce a bunch of pods. You pop the pods off, stick them in your mouth. There's like no harvesting really. There's no, you just need to water them. You can even set an auto water system. You can easily just put like a soaker hose around there and have it on an auto water system, and you don't have to do anything. Essentially, just go out there and harvest them. Same thing with potatoes, and there's a whole bunch of things you can grow really easily. Cabbage. Cabbage is not worth it though, just because it's so cheap to buy. I wouldn't grow cabbage. But there are a lot of things that produce good food without much work, like an apple tree. That's the next step. You can do that in kale, a fantastic one. Radishes, there's lots of things. So start growing your own food, even if you have a patio. I used to patio garden. I've gardened here in my yard. I've gardened everywhere. I used to grow carrots in my office when I worked at Microsoft. So you can grow food anywhere. Those carrots weren't the best, and that's not the best example, but you can grow food anywhere. You just need to kind of dedicate a space to it, a little bit of time to it, and just a little bit of planning of what grows well and what doesn't. If you want a whole video on that, let me know in the comments below. And the final thing you can do to save money, to lose weight, is to forage your own food. So nature's already grown the food out and about. Well, not here at the dock, but out in the woods. So you can learn what grows in your area and just go forage it whenever it's in season. So I have a whole video on this if you want to check out my area and what I forage for, or even just tips on how to look for what is edible and kind of how to check your surroundings for edible food. But where I live, this is the blackberry capital of the world, And Himalayan blackberries grow everywhere here. So in August, end of July, you can just pick buckets and buckets and buckets and just freeze them for the whole year. It costs you nothing but your time. Around here, there's also huckleberry, blackberry, raspberries, strawberries. There's all sorts of stuff. There's apple trees all over the place. Along trails where people will be eating an apple and they throw the core. 20 years later, there's an apple tree. So often if you go hiking, you look along the trails, there'll be apple trees there. There's also wild potatoes that grow here up on the mountains. So there's a lot of places you can get free food. You just have to know and start looking for it. There's a lot of foraging and wild sites all over the world. So I'm sure there's one for your area. So hopefully these tips give you an idea on how to save money on a budget here when you're trying to lose weight. And if you enjoyed this content, give it a thumbs up here, subscribe to the channel, join the family, and until the next one, have a good one.